In this question, we are asked to find the 6 trig ratios for theta, and we're told that the angle theta in standard position has the point -1, -4 on its terminal arm. So I'm going to start by drawing a picture of what's happening. I know that at -1, -4, that point is on the terminal arm of my angle. So my angle theta in standard position would start here and end here in quadrant 3. We need to find, without a calculator, because it says exact values, just based on this picture, what sine of theta, cos of theta, tan of theta, as well as the reciprocals, cosecant theta, secant theta, and cotangent theta. And all we're given is this information. Now, there is a key strategy that we're going to use to figure this out. Such a key strategy that I lump all questions that use this strategy together and I call them triangle questions. Sometimes by coming up with names like this, by labeling a question as something like, this is a triangle question, it does 2 things. One, it tells you the hint for how to solve this question. You need to draw a triangle. And in this question, you can draw the triangle by taking the point -1, -4, going back to your nearest x-axis, and drawing your triangle. The reason you have to go back to your nearest x-axis was because this angle in there is our reference angle. And we learned something about reference angles, that all angles with the same reference angles have the same ratios. And they all make the same triangle. That was something we saw this morning with the 30 degree. So if I can make the triangle, I can probably label some things on this triangle. I know, because I went to -1, -4, I know that this length is, how long is it from here to here? 1. And sometimes people will put a negative with that 1. Because I'm dealing with a triangle, I like to just think of lengths, and I like to think that length is 1. How long is this? 4. How long is the hypotenuse? And you'll get really good at mental math here with a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Square root of 17. Because 16 plus 1 is 17. It'll be the square root of 17. For most of our work with a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we will just do it mental math like that. Now I've got a triangle. If my reference angle is here, in this triangle, what is sine of my reference angle? Opposite over hypotenuse. And so sine of theta here will be 4 over root 17. And according to our cast rule, should that be a positive value or a negative value? It should be negative, because it's in quadrant 3. Do you remember in grade 11, whenever you had a square root on the bottom of a fraction, you had to rationalize the denominator? Yeah. Yes? Okay. In grade 12, they assume you know how to do that, and they don't require it on every question. So you can leave your answer with a square root of 17 in the denominator without losing any marks. You only have to do that if it says rationalize the denominator, or if this was a multiple choice question, in the multiple choice answer they might say sine theta is equal to negative root 4 root 17 over 17 is the answer, and you came up with this, and it doesn't show up, you have to rationalize in order to match it. So they assume you know how to do it, and it still comes up. But one of the reasons that they don't ask you to rationalize the denominator is because once you found out that sine is negative 4 over root 17, and you know that cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, we now know that cosecant is negative root 17 over 4. Similarly, we can find cos. Here's my angle, my reference angle, cos adjacent over hypotenuse. 1 over root 17. Quadrant 3, according to Castrol, should be negative. That means that secant is negative root 17 over 1. I wouldn't even have to write that 1 on the bottom, but just to show you the flip of the fraction. And finally, tangent, opposite over adjacent. And again, I wouldn't have to write the over 1, but tangent in quadrant 3 is positive, and so cotangent will be 1 over 4. How do you recognize if something is a triangle question? They ask you to find something about sine, cos, tangent, secant, cotangent, cosecant. I think I listed them all. And they give you information which can draw a picture. In this case, the negative 1, negative 4, I can draw a triangle, always back to my x-axis so that I can label my reference angle. Question for practice on this one is number 8.